When playing Call of Duty World War II, it's hard not to make comparisons to Battlefield 1. Not only do they have that gritty, realistic tone representative of the two world wars, they even share a lot of the same geography and equipment. Thematically, Battlefield 1 and COD World War II aren't so different. Sure, they're set about 30 years apart, but the new Call of Duty is a lot closer to EA's shooter than Infinite Warfare. So now we have two AAA shooters taking on two world wars. But which really is the better? Call of Duty World War II or Battlefield 1? I'm Mahanawaz for Segmentnext, so let's take a look and conclude which game should you be playing. Starting with campaign mode, when it comes to powerful sequences throughout a game, then Call of Duty World War II delivers. But it lacks when it comes to the cold reality of war, as the campaign is as forgettably enjoyable as it is generic. Very cliche, with its protagonist narrating the laborious efforts of a fractured band of US soldiers. There's the stealth mission, the driving mission, the sniping mission, the chase mission. There are some engaging gameplay concepts like infiltrating a German headquarters by memorizing a cover story, for instance. But like the character development or that intuitive peek and lean cover system that doesn't translate from solo to multiplayer, ideas wash in and wash out without impact. But this is a world war, and Call of Duty doesn't really translate that, with its American stereotypes stealing the spotlight from the moment they storm Normandy. Sure, there's a nod to the Brits and the French resistance, but that's just that, a nod. On the other hand, Battlefield 1 drifts in a different direction, as it gives the opportunity to join different allied forces as you sweep through 6 key battles of World War I. That gives it a lot more narrative and gameplay flexibility as you effortlessly shift from the blood-soaked fields of France to the sun-beaten deserts of Arabia to experience the true dimensions of the war. Battlefield's 1 campaign is essentially a heroic boys' own adventure retelling of the Great War, which does not shy away from the tragedy. That style creates a clear tone. The round of great campaign is won by Battlefield 1. On to the gameplay. With COD World War II, we're back to boots on the ground shooting. It has a familiar yet addictive gameplay that lets you level up both your soldier and your weapons to unlock way better guns, kill streaks, attachments, and basic training ribbons. World War II also introduces divisions. Pick and play a class and you'll be rewarded with additional skills and weapon supplements that give you the edge. These divisions are a lot more accommodating compared to Battlefield 1's rigid class-based system, which restricts you into using certain weapons and gadgets, and where your playstyle needs to be tuned to the class demands rather than yours. However, Battlefield emphasizes on real-life shooting physics. Unlike COD's arcade-style plain blind shooting is rarely an effective tactic in a game like Battlefield, where fire accuracy depends on knowing your weapon's damage stats, and even sniping demands cycling scope distance for the perfect headshot. Analyzing the nature of both the games, the gameplay formula of both wins. The primary difference between the multiplayer of Battlefield 1 and COD World War II is that COD focuses on purely running and gunning that revives the slick arcade simplicity that made it an FPS giant. You'll race around the usual 3-lane maps, and your goal is to kill the opponent. Given it's a 6 vs 6 arena shooter, the smaller map sizes allow designs that are tighter and more subtle than Battlefield 1's. If you thought getting sniped from across the map on Gustav's cannon was frustrating, wait until you take on Battlefield 1's wide-open Mont Grob. You'll barely see the bullet until the kill cam kicks in. At the end, it's all a question of pace. World War II's multiplayer is crazy rewarding, from those always smooth controls to unlocking killstreak rewards to the satisfyingly tactile hit markers. It's all pure adrenaline for your senses. Over on the battlefield, the game's heavy focus on precision and control means every frenzied fight feels hard-fought and hard-won. The guns are the stars of both these games, and there's a lot of similarities between their respective arsenals. In fact, they have several guns in common with slightly different handling characteristics. But the general feeling of firearms in Call of Duty is more preferable. In Battlefield, though, it takes a lot of rounds to down someone in a standard match, and it seems like gunshots and explosions don't have the pizzazz that they should. The upside to Battlefield's arsenal is that each gun is fairly balanced in each class. Some firearms are just plain better than others, but DICE seems to want to make it to where a level 1 player should be able to take on a level 110 player. When it comes down to it, skill determines the victor of a Battlefield 1 duel more than anything. Call of Duty's firearms have a bit more meat to them, whether it's the lower health per player in the game or just overall sound and visual design. COD World War II's guns feel a lot better in comparison, even if the biggest issue with the firearms is the same one that's afflicted the series since Modern Warfare. When it comes to full game modes, Battlefield 1 with its huge scale has such limited scope. There are 8 different modes, with operations being the key standout, where you attack or defend points across maps until all sectors are captured. This is a full-scale battlefield of epic ongoing battles. As for COD, all the usual suspects return, like kill confirmed, search and destroy, domination, with one new crowning gem, war mode, which sees you play out real-life World War II moments like D-Day. Taking obvious cues from Battlefield's operations, war mode ditches the solo wanderings in TDM in favor of teamwork. Only that makes it a fresh and addictive highlight. But what makes COD the true winner in terms of variety in game modes is Nazi zombies. Because if there's one thing better than slaughtering Nazis or zombies, it's slaughtering waves of Nazi zombies. Call of Duty's loot boxes have already come under fire since you open them in the HQ social space, so everyone can see that cool pistol grip literally no one, not even you, will ever see. Just like in real war, Battlefield's battle packs are slightly more measured in delivery, but that's only because it released last year, before studios really nailed down how to increase player engagement or shamelessly maximize profit, depending on who you ask. These are two of the best military shooters out there. From graphics to sound design, they're both an equal contender that encourage immersion. Call of Duty World War II is just what the label says, a straightforward shooter based on the history's vile bloodbath. Nothing new for COD, as World War II was the theme back in 2003, but it sure does reinvent the previous glory. That's where Battlefield comes in and proves to be far more daring with the shift to World War I, a decision that raised brows and drooped frowns over the moral dilemma of whether the tragic World War I setting could be respectful to the fallen and work as a mass appeal shooter. From that documentary-style opening, Battlefield 1 proved it could and delivered what Call of Duty could not, a fresh take on the war-torn experience. It's simple, really. Even the greatest ever Call of Duty match could be just another minor battle in Battlefield 1. While Call of Duty World War II's multiplayer is an artful shooter brimming with wartime stylings, Battlefield 1's scale captures the truly manic state of all-out war. Agree, disagree, let us know in the comments. While at it, leave a little like. Until next time.